This program was first broadcast on Canterbury's access media station, Plains FM, and was made with the assistance of New Zealand On Air.
Welcome to your weekly dose of the Accountology Show. I'm your host and chartered accountant, Nicole Haig, with an insatiable curiosity for uncovering accounting ideas to help businesses grow. I have so many nuggets of gold to share. Are you ready to make your good business great? Let's get stuck right in. Hey, it's your host, Nicole Haig, and welcome to another episode of the Accountology Show. In accounting news, banks have faced a greater deal of scrutiny over their profits and their ability to almost never make a loss, despite how the country's households and economies are managing. Whilst households are doing it hard, ANZ announced a small $1.04 billion after-tax profit rise in their half-year reporting. That's up 4%, whilst Westpac and BNZ dipped modestly. Banks are not immune to inflation and their operating costs have also climbed, but Reserve Bank data shows that half-yearly results present the margins banks have been making remain high compared to the past decade. Concurrently, all three banks have reported sharp rises in households no longer able to manage their home loan repayments. Banks' high profits were pitched, leaving them able to support their borrowers. BNZ Chief Executive Dan Huggins described his bank's half-year result as a resilient result in a subdued economic environment, which meant it was in a strong position to continue supporting its customers. Whilst ANZ Chief Executive Antonia Watson reported, ANZ is a strong, safe and well-capitalised business positioned to support our customers through any tough times ahead. All three banks are expected to see more people with home loans fall behind on their mortgages. This ties in with the Reserve Bank's forecast that serious mortgage arrears, where borrowers are behind on 3 months of repayments, will rise throughout the rest of the year. The reason for this forecast is that there is still around 17% of households still on rates below 5%. Commerce Commission Chair John Small said in March that limited competition was a contributing factor to the high profits of the Australian-owned banks. The Commerce Commission has drafted a report on the banking sector with regard to competition in the banking industry. Antonia Watson said steps to further enhance competition would be good for customers when reflecting on the Commerce Commission's draft report into the banking sector. New Zealand has well-established, strong, safe banks, and this is important for a well-functioning economy, she said. The report made a number of draft recommendations to consider before the final report in August, including that Kiwi Bank should look at its capital raising options. Are you a business owner struggling with profit, cash flow, or to find balance between work and life? At Nicole Haig & Associates, we want to help business owners just like you reclaim your freedom. Freedom to spend quality time with loved ones, freedom from stress, and freedom from financial burdens. But how do we do it? It's simple. We listen, we understand, and we create bespoke, structured programs tailored to your unique business and personal goals. With the right education, coaching, and expert advice, we'll show you how to increase profits, improve cash flow, and align your business and personal goals. Don't do it alone. Let NH+A be your guide to success. Work smarter, not harder, with our proven accountability methods. Your freedom starts here. Contact us today. A personal budget. Do you have one? For many people, personal budgeting is terrible. It can be frustrating and tedious, and budgets themselves, even once they're made, are often difficult to stick to. But budgets are crucial to financial health, which begs the question, why are they so dreadful to put up with? Let's face it, they're not fun or sexy and generally perceived as working against people rather than with them. People feel restricted and deprived by them. The concept of a personal budget is, on the face of it, a responsible idea, but as a strategy, it goes against our human nature. As a business owner, it's essential you prepare a personal budget each year. Instead of being confined or restricted, a personal budget should be liberating as you can spend guilt-free. knowing other money has been allocated to your expenses. Think of it as a spending plan rather than a budget. By knowing how you'll spend and save money and setting personal finance goals, you'll know exactly what your business needs to provide to you. But this episode is worth a listen to by everyone, not just business owners. We've got so many nuggets of gold and tips and tricks to make a personal budget work for you. In fact, so much so, we have to spread this topic of personal budgeting over 2 shows. So, here's part 1. Do you have a personal budget? Whether you're a business owner, a wage and salary earner, a student, unemployed, retired, it doesn't matter which category you fall within. Everyone should have a personal budget. It's something that we're not taught at school. There isn't enough, if any, financial literacy provided in our education system. And as a parent, it's jolly hard to teach it to our kids if you don't know how to budget either. I remember doing economics in the 3rd form, which is equivalent to year 9 now, and we were taught how to write out a cheque and what all the terms on the cheque meant, such as payee and how to write the amount in numbers and words and how to balance a chequebook. Obviously irrelevant now as cheques don't even exist, but the foundation of understanding how cheques work as money going out and how to balance the chequebook is not irrelevant. You know, you might be surprised to know that when we talk with business owners and we ask them, how much money do you need out of the business to live off? They generally don't actually know. Then we delve a little bit deeper and ask, well, how much does it cost to run your household? They're often unsure. We live in a technological revolution where transactions are made with one swipe on plastic, often not knowing if we have funds in our bank accounts other than a simple word. Either your transaction has been accepted or declined. Let's be honest, we all know a lot of people with the same money concepts. Accept or decline is their measure of a budget. And let me add, there's absolutely no judgment here if this is your form of budgeting or knowledge or your method. But I'm on a crusade to help not only business owners, but everyone with how to budget and manage your personal finances. Basic financial literacy should be at the core of our education system, as much as our basic human rights of food and water, clothing, shelter, and education should be met. The current education system is failing us by not teaching us the basic fundamentals of not only how to manage our money, but how to set up bank accounts, how to read and understand a rental agreement so we know what we're getting ourselves into, how to understand insurance and what is covered in a policy and what's not, what the terminology means. Our children should be prepared for the outside world, and we can see through progressive generations gone through the education system that this system is failing us. It is leading the graduated scholar out the school gate into the world all on their own with maths, English, science, at the very least under their belts, but without any know-how of what do I do with my first pay? Why is PAYE being deducted? How much should the PAYE be? What is KiwiSaver? How much should I contribute? How much rent can I afford based upon my salary I'm earning? Do I have enough money left over to pay for food and power? And who pays for the insurance? And what about if I have an accident and I can't work? Who will pay? How do I live? What is ACC? And will they help? Should I have insurance to cover this? And what type of insurance should I have? Oh my goodness, it's just so overwhelming. There's so much to know, and so much of this is not taught. When my children were younger, I had 3 glass jars for them with labels on: spend, savings, and gifts. I paid them cold, hard cash pocket money for their chores that they had to do each week, and they had to split the pocket money between the 3 jars. This was their first step into the world of budgeting. The glass jars being transparent made it easy to visually see the level of the coins they had in each jar. The spend jar was for anything that they wanted to buy, but obviously they needed to have enough coins in their jar to buy that item. Otherwise, they knew that they had to wait a few more weeks until they had earned more pocket money before making the purchase. Savings were for anything bigger that they were saving up for, and if they had nothing in mind, then these savings could accumulate until that rainy day arrived when they needed a larger sum of money. But if they knew what they wanted to purchase, then we would add the figure to the outside of the jar and each week see it grow till they got to the desired level. And gifts was for anything they wanted to buy for anyone else. And that's basically budgeting in a nutshell. Having your various glass jars for each of your expenses, such as your mortgage repayments or your rent, food, phone, power, insurance, rates, haircuts, clothing, savings, gifts, and splitting your weekly wage or salary into each jar. So when the bill comes in for the power, the funds are there to make the payment and you are not left scrambling. Or when you head to the supermarket each week, you know how much you can spend. Or if the children need new shoes, the funds are there to make that purchase. Or it may be that you have to wait a couple of weeks until the fund increases, then you can purchase the new shoes, as there wasn't enough in the jar that week. Then eventually, if there are funds left over, you need to consider what you could look at investing in. Could it be a deposit for a house? Could it be a deposit for a rental property? Could it be an investment in the share market? Could it be for a holiday? What are your personal financial goals? Now is the perfect time to set yourself a personal budget. But the trick is to not set and forget and then expect to achieve your personal financial goals. If you don't monitor your progress, your spending habits are unlikely to change. Good financial awareness skills start with having a personal budget. And budgeting doesn't mean living on bread and water. You can still have your coffees if it's managed well. It's about managing your cash and gaining control of your finances. A personal budget is a financial plan that allocates the future personal income towards expenses, savings, and debt repayments. In other words, it's a plan that sets out how you'll spend and save your money. Some people hear the words personal budget and think restriction, limitation, confinement. They imagine having to cut all spending, not able to leave the house other than to work and live on bread and butter. Instead, think of it as your spending plan. By planning how you'll spend your money, you'll feel liberated and be able to spend it guilt-free, knowing money has already been set aside to cover your expenses. By putting a plan in place, you'll no longer feel like you're going to run out of money before the end of the week or the month and be tempted to use credit cards, lay-bys, or buy now, pay later instruments. Don't get sucked into that big black hole. So, how do you prepare your personal budget? It's easiest to start with a template, so either an Excel spreadsheet or an app or a website. Your budget should be set up for a 12-month period with all income and expenses broken down on a monthly basis. Now, we have a complimentary personal budget template available to our clients, and if you would like one of these, just DM us or email me at nicole@nh-a.co.nz and we'll send it through. We'll add details to the show notes. Now, ensure that your budget contains these following concepts. The first one is income. So this will include any type of income that you have coming in, whether it's business drawings, salary and wages, interest received, dividends received, rental income, and any other income you may receive. Now, if you receive income weekly, multiply your weekly amount by 52, then divide by 12 to calculate your monthly average. If you receive it fortnightly, multiply it by 26, then divide it by 12. The other category is expenses. Now, expenses should be split into your key categories. For example, your household utilities, food, clothing, the children, education, medical, insurance, transport, lifestyle, and debt repayment, for example. Irregular expenses such as maybe annual rates or insurance payments that are paid annually, school supplies and uniforms or holidays should be allocated to the month they're paid, because this allows you to plan for those months that'll have higher than normal outgoings. Then you need to do a monthly cash summary. So this should show your cash surplus or deficit. So this is either money left over, so remember this is your accepted on your FPOS transaction, and not enough funds is the deficit, and this is the decline on your FPOS transaction. For each month, do that as well as for the year. Now, if your budget has resulted in a deficit, so that's the decline, review your expenses and identify areas to reduce your spending. Start with your discretionary spending. So maybe it's buying 1 coffee a day instead of 2, or maybe it's less entertainment per month. For example, you don't need them for your basic human survival, like the power, the food, the rent, mortgage repayments, etc. Maybe it could be that instead of getting your hair cut every 6 weeks, you push it out every 8 weeks, and then you have less haircuts per year. Maybe it's painting your own nails instead of going to the salon every 3 weeks. Maybe you decide to run around the park each day instead of going to the gym. Maybe your weekly grocery bill includes a bottle of wine, so maybe consider buying the wine every second week. Another category is the actual versus the budget. So you should be able to easily compare your actual monthly spending to your budget. So you need to set aside an hour or two each month to input your actual figures from your bank statement. Then you can compare this to your budget. So for example, let's say you had budget for power of $280 for the month, and you ended up putting the washing on the line more than using the dryer, and the power was actually $250 for the month. The feeling of being under budget is amazing, and you'll get to your final goals quicker. Now, conversely, if you are over budget, you may need to reset your budget for the remaining months if necessary. The key to a successful budget is to be completely honest about your spending habits. It's best practice to review your bank statements to analyse your current spending. Inputting this information into the budget may be an eye-opener, but it will help you understand where your money goes and allow you to make adjustments. Even small adjustments add up over time. The budget should be personal to you and your family and should reflect your overarching family goals. There's no set formula for what this should look like. Your goal may be to reduce debt by spending less on lifestyle expenses. Or maybe you want to take the family on a holiday, so you reduce your food spend by cutting out purchasing items such as salmon and chocolates each week. The key to achieving your financial goals is to understand where your money goes and develop better control over your finances. Making a plan for your money and setting personal wealth goals will ultimately result in more money and less stress. You will feel so much more in control. So for staying on track with your personal budget, let's have a look. You've taken the first steps and you've developed your personal budget for the year. However, don't set and forget and then expect to achieve your personal financial goals. If you don't monitor your progress, your spending habits are unlikely to change. So what steps can you take to ensure you're on track with your personal budget? The first is to track your spending, as we talked about. So keep a record of your spending, and you can consider using an app to keep track, or you've got your bank statements, which is a great source. Remember, some transactions are not clearly identifiable, so make sure you keep your receipts for any cash payments. The second idea is to set time aside each month to review your actual income and expenditure. Your budget should allow you to record your actual results for the month to easily compare to your budget. Also, compare your year-to-date actual results against your budget. And then update your budget if necessary. After a few months, you may feel that your original budget was unachievable or too generous. If so, make the necessary changes to your budget for the remaining months. We don't want to set you up for failure. Your budget shouldn't feel confining. It's simply allocating your income to your expenses so you can take control of your money. And involve your family. While it may not be appropriate to share your full budget with your children, get them involved in the process to demonstrate the importance of managing your money. Even the concept of understanding the value of money. I used to, and in fact I still do, play a game with my children when we go to the supermarket. So when we go through the checkout, we'll guess how much the groceries are going to cost, and the person closest to the actual result is the winner. The amount of times that my girls have said, "Wow, that's so expensive for what we got. It didn't even seem like we had much in the trolley." But it's teaching them the value of the dollar and knowing how much things cost in this world. I have to say, even when I'm on my own, I play this game. And when the girls were younger, we would allocate a specific monthly amount to family activities, and the children took turns at planning the entire evening. One of my daughters, one night when the rest of the family were away, took me out on a date night, just her and I. She planned the entire evening and had the cash to pay for everything we did. However, at dinner, when we ordered, I asked for a glass of wine to the waitress, and my daughter quickly told the waitress, "I'm sorry, but we have to cancel that wine as we don't have enough money in the budget." "Fair enough too," I said, "and good budgeting. Perhaps you could do the same, but be warned, there may be no wine." And what about seek independent accountability? So sometimes we start off with great intentions of sticking to a budget, then we slip back into our old spending habits. Having someone independently hold you accountable will help you achieve your goals. This can be particularly relevant for couples who may not have the same spending habits. Maybe one is a spender and the other is a saver. And bring fun to the process. Budgeting shouldn't be ominous and scary. While it may not be at the top of your list of fun activities, you can have fun with it. Maybe you could allocate money towards a treat to indulge in whilst you're working on the budget each month. The enduring value of personal budgeting comes from seeing the improvements in your spending habits and having more money in your bank account. Regardless of what your personal financial goals are, monitoring your spending and reviewing your budget monthly will help you stay on track. A budget is telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. That's a great quote from Dave Ramsey, who's an American radio personality. Understanding the importance of having a personal budget is crucial for financial stability. It's not about restricting yourself, but rather about gaining control and freedom in managing your finances. Setting up a budget involves allocating your income towards your expenses, savings, and debt repayments. Using tools like Excel spreadsheets or the budget template, which you can DM us about, apps and websites can simplify the process. You've got to give it a go, as this approach will help you feel empowered and confident in your financial decisions, knowing exactly where funds are coming from to pay not only fixed costs, but any of those hairy little out-of-the-blue unexpected expenses that pop up from time to time. Take control back with your finances and realise those personal financial goals and aspirations and turn them into reality. Remember this quote from Greg Reed, best-selling author, keynote speaker, filmmaker, and entrepreneur. A dream written down with a date becomes a goal broken down into steps becomes a plan, and a plan backed by action makes your dreams come true. Okay, 3 action points. The first is initiate the budget setup. So begin by selecting the budgeting method tool that you want that resonates with you, such as a spreadsheet or an app or an online tool. The second is honest financial evaluation. So conduct a thorough review of your financial situation, include your income and expenses. This honesty lays the foundation for an accurate budget. And the third, goal alignment and prioritization. Define your financial goals and prioritize them within your budget. Ensure essential expenses, savings, and debt repayments are allocated before discretionary spending. And by taking these action points to heart, you'll be well on your way to mastering personal budgeting and achieving financial freedom. Start small, stay focused, and watch your financial goals become a reality. And if there's one aha moment from this conversation, it should be the transformative power of personal budgeting. I know it doesn't sound sexy or appealing, but by embracing it not as a constraint, frustrating, or tedious, but rather as a tool for financial empowerment and freedom. By crafting a budget tailored to your goals and regularly reviewing and adjusting it, you can take control of your finances and pave the way towards a brighter financial future. Thanks for joining us on the Accountology Show. If you have enjoyed today's show, you're in luck because we'll be back next week. You'll find past episodes at plainsfm.org.nz and subscribe on Apple Podcasts or Spotify to never miss an episode. We would love it if you would leave a 5-star review and tell a friend or business owner who would benefit from hearing our show. We also love hearing from you, so reach out with any comments or a topic you'd like covered, and even suggestions for whom we should get in the studio next for an interview. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and TikTok. Our handle is NH Plus Associates, that's NHPLUS Associates, or email me, nicole@nh-a.co.nz. But most importantly, thank you for taking the time to listen to the show. Until next time, keep building that business into the empire it absolutely deserves to be.